RealPodcasts.com proudly presents The Wrestling is Real Podcast, because wrestling needs us. Presented by KingofAmazon.com. When you think of Amazon, think KingofAmazon.com. So I am reflecting back on the year that is 2019 here on the Wrestling is Real Podcast. And one of the things is an ongoing thing that I've been looking at over the last 4 months, or actually last 3 months, specifically since the Wednesday Night Wars began. Now, do we want to go ahead and talk about what happened during the Wednesday Night Wars? Look, both shows, NXT and AEW Dynamite, put out really strong shows, right? You have the 10-minute challenge with Chris Jericho and Jungle Boy. You had the SCU Young Bucks match for the tag team titles, which I don't think they got a winner. I forget what happened. I had to get out of the room for a moment. When I came back in, I saw the Dark Order pounding down. Anyways, Rhea Ripley, brand new NXT Women's Champion. Adam Cole retains over Finn Balor because now Johnny Gargano is after Finn Balor. There's that storyline coming up now. And that's where they are leading into the end of the year. You know, the next couple weeks of shows, it's kind of just there and whatever. That's all it's going to be. But again, I'm going to just continue to reflect. And there might not be much to talk about on next week's show that will be new, but it'll probably give me time to go and do more of a reflection of the year in wrestling. We'll talk all about it and just really reflect on things. That's probably what we'll do. But either which way, I've also talked a lot of wrestling this week. If you didn't catch it, let me just explain what happened. So gave all of you about a good 45 minutes of coverage of of NWA Into the Fire and Ring of Honor's Final Battle. I did that Saturday night going into Sunday. And then I did the TLC pay-per-view, which I did Sunday night going into Monday. And here I am again 3 times in the last, 5 nights or so. And I'm back once again to go ahead and cover all these matches for you and just cover the world of wrestling. Another rant for you tonight on the podcast. So let me get started with it. My subject tonight is, look at the title. Now, you're asking yourself in the title of this show, I use the word attrition. ATTRITION. So let me explain what attrition is. It's defined as the action or process of gradually reducing the strength or effectiveness of someone or something through sustained attack or pressure. So the attack is the WWE Superstars. That's just what it is. It's such a bad shape right now for the company, where they have done to their superstars. If they can even be called superstars. Now, we've talked about on this show all the issues where any star that does get brought up, whether it's from NXT or if it's just a brand new star that they go ahead and build up overnight, how they're just brought up to get beaten down. I mean, everybody gets humbled. And it's not, and here's the most important thing you got to say. Of all the people that you see, a lot of people that you see that are in the company, you know, it's funny how the fans out there, some of them, they look at WWE as the only place that matters, right? Then they also choose to negate the amount of career that any of the stars that they have that have come into the fold where they worked somewhere else, and they worked somewhere else for years. Like, think about it. When you hear Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens mentioning they've been in the wrestling circuit for 15 years. When you hear ACH, he's been wrestling for, 6-7 years? And then you have Ricochet, who's also been wrestling for 10 plus years. You know, when Finn Balor came into play, also, all these guys. When you look at Seth Rollins, yeah, he's been here for so many years, 8 years now, he says? But then he's also been wrestling for almost 20. AJ Styles for 25. I mean, you think about this, you got a lot of guys that are veterans. But again, it's all work rate. And WWE, the reason why they keep putting people up to put them down, to put them back up, to put them down, and all this parity booking happens is because, plain and simple, Vince does not have the guys that he wants. Now, I've heard the argument this week, Don Tony Kevin Castle put it up, the fact of, and this is an all across the board thing, how much does Paul Heyman get the blame for all the issues that are going on here? I can't just point the finger at Paul Heyman. It's the whole damn company. They're all to blame. And by the way, I've said that. And I will continue to say that. I am going and attacking the entire company. They're all failing right now. And the fact that they're failing, listen, there's no medal given to Paul Heyman or anybody else for riding the ship back and getting the numbers back to 2 million viewers. When they had those weeks where they were nearing under 2 million viewers, that was a major problem. That's a problem they should never have. And now we're here. Their numbers still suck. Next week, they're going to have a bad number. Week after that, probably another bad number. WrestleMania season, can they even pick it back up and get to around 2.5 to 3 million? You got to ask yourself if they can get there. And most importantly, we talk about the Wednesday Night War, and people are buzzing about that. But how many people are actually watching? Because remember, you're only getting 1.6, 1.7 million people each week watching either one of those shows at any given time. And at the beginning of this, you actually had, over 2 million. So it could very well be the WWE audience that watches on Mondays and Fridays with an accumulation of some people that watch all the other wrestling out there. We're not building an extra audience here at all. Or there's a lot of WWE fans that do not watch AEW or NXT. And they choose not to because it's not the main product. And NXT could be looked at by the casual fans still as inferior. They might have looked at Survivor Series and said, why are these guys in here? Who are these people? We don't know these people. Who's Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler? Who's Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era? Who are these people? Because they were put as inferior because they never came back. Now, NXT is a superior product. At this time, it is. But the rest of the company is focused on letting NXT make sure it thrives. So we're trying to grow the base of NXT so it can be the same audience as SmackDown and Raw. That's missing the point. You're focusing on the show that's getting $40 million per year to be produced and brought onto USA Network. We're not talking about the show that's getting $200 million or the show that's getting, $50 million to be produced. You know, the ones that are getting you $250 million a year, that's your bread and butter. Along with the 20 million or whatever, 20 billion or whatever you get from Saudi Arabia every year. But you're missing the ball. Why are they not doing the right thing to build their main shows? The Monday and Friday night shows. Those are the shows of importance. Those are priority. They're not treating them like priority. And they are suffering because of the fact that we have NXT being the focal point. So is WWE basically abandoning and just kind of just putting on the back burner on autopilot SmackDown and Raw to their device, only to have NXT be the focus right now because they're being booked well? But they're only being booked for work rate. It's nothing to do with personality or character to a certain level. Storylines being booked long term with lots of woven arcs and things all around it. We're not getting any of that. So what else do you expect of this company? Ricochet getting thrown on main event. You know, you have which stars that have gotten a push to get de-pushed. You ask yourself, when does Humberto Carrillo, when is he going to go ahead and lose a match? Well, he's already lost a match or two to Andrade. And then Aleister Black, they pushed him up, back down, or they just took him out off the map, off the grid, and then brought him back. Buddy Murphy had a bit of a push, and he got brought back down. They all have gotten this. Lacey Evans got a nice push up. Now she's back down. They can't put their faith on anybody. And the two people that looks like they're really putting faith into right now, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And Becky Lynch, I guess, kind of, sort of. But she gets, look at the losses that Charlotte and Becky are taking out to the Kabuki Warriors. They did. What good was that? Remember how we've always talked about, and people have always talked about the fact that anybody that holds the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, how big of a deal they are. Well, what about the other titles? Rey Mysterio actually being booked as U.S. champion, he's being booked pretty well. Shinsuke Nakamura in the Intercontinental title has been an afterthought. Like, you might think about the fact that you have him out there, but it doesn't really matter much. Meantime, you always know Brock Lesnar's an AWOL champ. And Bray Wyatt, holding the WWE title, is there. And he's being booked strong. So who are they booking very well right now? Main eventers, you definitely know. Well, Seth Rollins is actually probably back down to a mid-card role. So who are your main eventers on the Raw roster? You know, it's not Randy Orton or AJ Styles. They got a main event match this week, but it doesn't mean they're main eventers. They've been in the U.S. title picture, and nobody else is up there. And with no Universal Champion to think about, the U.S. title has been the focal point. Again, part-timer causes this program to suffer. When you look at Bray Wyatt, he's been unstoppable. And they're going to do the same thing with him too. So your champions are going to be unstoppable, but there's nothing else you're going to do with it. And that's it. So what else is there after that? You got to ask yourself the question. Now, with this company, they don't think about these things. They don't worry about all the problems they're going through to build up their product. I mean, listen, we could talk about Raw and SmackDown and how bad they are every week. The storylines that are given are so bad. Like, think about it. When we look at the storyline that Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns are having, you know, I really don't care about it. I mean, there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. But the storyline of the dog food and the whole dog thing is bad, and it's contrived, and it's weak. Now, the Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt thing, that's actually pretty good. I give credit there, and I thought the match with The Miz, although the setup with The Miz was good this past week. The match, not so much. There are so many people they have on their main roster that have been there for so long that are brought up, brought down, brought up, brought down. When I look at Randy Orton, he's brought up, heat him up, cool him off, back and forth. Same thing goes with Dolph Ziggler. Same thing goes with The Miz. These are people that have been around for a long damn time, and they just keep going and going with this, and what else is it doing? Not much else. And I just don't care for it. And people that actually are able to go ahead and nitpick and pinpoint every little thing about every little thing going on, I don't know how people do it. On this show, I might have tried to do some of that, but I can't. There is no way you could get me to go ahead and do reviews like some of these other shows do that are intricate. They do it for an hour, hour and a half. And they're able to go and do an intricate detail of Raw and SmackDown. I don't know how people do it. The JD from NY206, I don't even know how he does it. I couldn't do it. I remember trying to do a little bit of that, do like TV highlights, the TV takedowns I used to call them. I can't do that. That's too much work. It's too much to deal with. I don't know how anybody handles it. But if I had to go through and talk about, okay, Seth Rollins with AOP, the promo they did together on Raw was actually quite good. And I want to give time for Seth Rollins to build his character out. Okay. OC and Viking Raiders, you can put these guys together 15, 20 times, straight up. You can let them, feud for months. I will not care. The OC means nothing. The Gallows and Anderson storyline and what they've done, I mean, they're there and they're getting paid and they're kind of just, they're in the mix, but the tag team division is so weak on both sides. The women's division also, in many respects, is very weak. And everything is so contrived and so bland and so fake. There's nothing organic that I get out of anything that's being done with this product. Not a thing. The announcers, the language that has to be said on the shows, what the wrestlers have to say on their promos. isn't there a time where we need to go ahead and change things up a little bit? Don't we need to kind of get things off of here? Can we get somewhere? I don't get that part. I'm trying to say to myself, it's so hard to watch their product because NXT doesn't act like that so much. I mean, there's a little bit of the feel of it, but really, there's not much anything else. When I watch WWE programming and then I look at NWA or Impact Wrestling or MLW, and it just feels so much different. And it makes me enjoy the major independent shows much more. But look, it comes down to the fact that WWE does their style, and it's been the same style since the Attitude Era. It is more or less the Attitude Era now because now we're getting much more salacious storylines. Liv Morgan now, she's sitting in a tub. Who knows if she's covered with clothes or not, or she's naked. We don't know. But we don't know what they're supposed to be anyway. The Lana Rusev storyline, that wouldn't have happened about a year or two ago. I mean, even when they did the Enzo Lana storyline, again, Lana and Rusev have been used as like pawns for like sexual deviation and debauchery kind of look. This, whatever it is, it's stupid. Eric Rowan and another squash feud. This is the third or fourth time they put him into something. Whatever rub that he got from being with Daniel Bryan is over, and it's gone. Nobody feels special. Nobody feels anything. The Bobby Lashley-Lana storyline continues. Whatever. The gauntlet match, which was 45 minutes. Again, we're just booking to fill time. We're at the end of things. So we're going to book a gauntlet match almost an hour long. SmackDown will do this. Same thing, remember? Remember that's what they did for a couple of weeks with Kofi Kingston on his way to become WWE champion before WrestleMania. Do not forget about that. And now Seth Rollins, his attack is on Rey Mysterio because that's the main event feud, even though it's only the U.S. title. Because absent is the Universal title until WrestleMania season, which probably will be a few more weeks. And I have no clue who on this roster right now could be brought and elevated to a level to take on Brock Lesnar. And by the way, no Braun Strowman in sight. What does that tell you? Deonna Purrazzo debuts after a brief video package, and then she gets beaten by Asuka. And we see some freshness of matches. Well, Asuka and Becky Lynch are going to probably take on each other at Royal Rumble. We're back to that again, except, the tables are turned. Or not even that. Becky Lynch was supposed to be a heel, right? Now she hasn't been. So Asuka's the heel. Where are we going? How is it so hard for this company to just, all that talent, and with all those people, all the resources they have, how they are so unable to get their shit together and to be able to put something out there. But again, they are chiseling away. Every time somebody goes up on that main product, they're going to get destroyed. I mean, honestly, credibility, legitimacy that came with them, I feel like it just gets watered down immediately. Everybody that comes over from another product, put it like this. Do we see anybody else right now clamoring to go to WWE? Let me put it to you like that. Except for John Morrison. Who else is knocking on the door waiting to come over to WWE? And I'm asking some of my fellow podcasters out there, you tell me, who sees WWE as a viable place to go except for the money? If you want to go for a cash grab, by all means. But what else is it good for? Anybody? I don't think anybody has a good answer. Because if you are a wrestler outside of things and you're looking to get in, the only place you want to go is NXT. As far as I know, wasn't that long ago, Tommaso Ciampa publicly said he doesn't want to go to the main roster. Finn Balor probably was happy and gleeful to leave the main roster. Think about that. And because of the NXT thing going on, there's might be other stars that'll go down there because they want to go work somewhere where they're going to be appreciated. The main fans, look at Des Moines, Iowa. Again, every time you're going to take a crowd and you're going to go ahead and take a show and do the same old show, no matter how good a Carrillo Andrade match could be, no matter how good AJ Styles and Randy Orton can be, this crowd is so not into it. They're just there for some other reason. They're not they're sports entertainment fans, and they don't appreciate the main sport of professional wrestling. They don't. The fans that are very vocal and are defending WWE to the hilt is because they are wrestling fans and they enjoy the wrestling they're getting. But they know very well that the storylines and the gimmicks and what they're being done right now is bad. And it's not helping anybody at all. And I don't know what they're going to do to figure this out. But WrestleMania season is going to suffer this year. Saudi Arabia is watering down WrestleMania. Think about it. Look at the way they positioned Super Showdown and Crown Jewel this year. And you're going to tell me that when they put matches together, remember, they're taking matches away that could be used at WrestleMania for what they do. Not on the women's side, but on the men's side, of course they have. And so I don't know what they're going to do next, but the Royal Rumble, it's a land of mediocres. And if that's what you want, I mean, honestly, WWE is purgatory for any professional wrestler right there. Not even a better way to say it, because you don't move up, you don't move down, you do not get elevated, nobody gets pushed to the top. No faith by this company whatsoever, unless they toe company line. So Roman Reigns, he's a company guy. Seth Rollins, company guy. Brock Lesnar, well, they just like the guy, and he's absolutely like a draw. So they're going to have no choice. And Bray Wyatt looks like he's a company guy. And after all that happened, listen, again, and remember what I told you as well, not that long ago, the Olympic Village type feel of this company and how they're handling things. Remember how I talked about that as well, that this company, when they allow everybody to go ahead and get laid as part of the roster because of all these beautiful men and women that are working with each other, we get that whole Olympic Village feel. And I'll tell you, I'm going to do something real quick for myself. I am doing a quick search at kingofpodcast.com because there's a great search feature that I have up at the top of the page. If you go there, search for anything I've talked about, you'll see it up there. And so if I do a search for Olympic Village, you will see that I talk about how the Survivor Series stretches the NXT nuance thin. And I mentioned specifically about the Olympic Village. So I said, let me remind you again, I'm going to tell you what I said. This was from the episode that I did back on November 21st. WWE has created this corporate utopia where wrestlers are living inside of an Olympic Village with lots of talented athletes dating each other. But everything is for the team, and there cannot be one star above the bunch. Even booking, lazy storytelling, and one-dimensional character development is destroying day after day the legacy of what all the fans honor and cherish. This is exactly why the WWE diehards are so willing to pile on any other company that seeks to compete for WWE's audience. I said that a month ago, and I am not wrong. So that's where we are, Olympic Village. So because Bray Wyatt met JoJo, and who knows all that happened with Bray Wyatt giving him a chance after chance after chance to get himself over and to get himself into a better spot. But he is. Great. Roman Reigns, company guy. You know, the company stood out and looked out for him after the whole leukemia thing all the way up to now. Seth Rollins, obviously company guy. He is rah-rah for the company. They had him hold the belt multiple times. Had him beat Brock Lesnar so to make him a top star. So is loyalty enough No, because if that was the case, Randy Orton should always be champion as well, but he's not. But he is getting a lighter schedule, so that's what matters to him. But you look at what there is, whatever you want to say about Paul Heyman or whoever else is running the show, it doesn't matter. As long as they keep things the way they are, Lana Rusev together and they get the new storylines together that are stupid, that don't work well when they actually should be split apart at this point, because you ruined that gimmick so long ago. So long ago. Again, the draw of going to WWE is fat paycheck and probably date somebody that you really dig at the other company, right? That's it. Because remember, it's also like what stars or whatever, John Cena met his ex through the company. When you look at Seth Rollins meets his fiancée in the company. I'm surprised Braun Strowman hasn't found anybody within the company, or there's other people for the same way. But that's what it comes down to. Look at Batista. he takes a little dabble back into the company. Now he wants to go date Dana Brooke. Look at that. Because, WWE is it's like wrestling Tinder for all these wrestlers. So there's stars that we want to go ahead and get together with and hook up with. How bad is that? How embarrassing is that? But that's the way things are. People are in this for the wrong reason. I guess a lot of these stars, they just don't want to be in wrestling for the traditions and the heritage and the honor of the people that came before them. That doesn't matter. That's why they don't worry about that. And that's what they care about. That's what they care about. That's what they want to do. It's a shame. SmackDown. And I looked at this, and honestly, SmackDown, man, I'm barely paying attention to that show. It's so bad. So they give Corbin somebody else to work off of with Kofi Kingston, right? Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Fire and Desire, and these four have been going back on each other on TV, and it means absolutely nothing. It's a speck on the radar. It means nothing. But this is a typical of what this company does. They're not doing anything with these four just to do something with them. No, they're just kind of being put together because they need to be put. The Revival and Mustafa Ali and Shorty G, they're being put together just to be put as a tag team, just to give them some place to go. Bayley means, what a heel turn for Bayley. Her and Sasha Banks together have really not meant much at all. Really, there's not much of a response at all to things. They're restarting with Elias now as a face all of a sudden. And nothing. Nothing at all. It's flat. So flat. It just doesn't make any difference. And then I read stories that, some of the stars want to go to NXT. And then I read new stars some stars actually went ahead and signed new contracts, which is okay, well, that's what they want to do. That's how they feel like they want to go and take care of. All that this company wants to do is just sign new people and keep people on board just to hold in place. But again, some of these stars are happy to be in purgatory, wrestling purgatory, in the biggest, baddest place they could possibly be, the most exposure, doing the least amount to get themselves elevated in their career. Does anybody become better after coming into this company? There's only a handful of people that have. I will say Daniel Bryan's career probably has been elevated as a result. AJ Styles' career coming into the company probably has come up as a result. Has Finn Balor? Has Ricochet? No. I don't feel any difference with Dolph Ziggler than I did back in the day. Randy Orton is where he is, but he's more just like a legacy legend character, and that's about it. So what else is there? I don't know. So the New Day have re-signed contracts. You got Kofi Kingston, Big E signing 5-year contracts. So they're just locking them up, making sure that these guys get to stay where they are, not going to go anywhere. Xavier Woods also signed 5 years. So the New Day is strong. It's all in the place. Street Profits, multi-year deals. And according to the news, Street Profits are a result of Paul Heyman trying to get them somewhere. So you got a lot of stars right there that are staying on board, and that's it. Okay, good for them. What else? What else do you have? Nothing, in my opinion. We're just kind of just rolling around doing the same thing over and over. Meanwhile, the other companies are giving us a lot. I'm just saying NWA has been able to make Eli Drake matter more than he did in Impact. I feel like Mr. Anderson's got another lease on life in wrestling. His career's got a little bit of a boost. The shock that we did not, everybody thinks that Marty Scurll was going to go to WWE or could be considered. No, not at all. No, people want to go work for NWA. I mean, think about it. And AEW, by the way. So NWA and AEW are kind of, I guess there's some kind of relationship there because then Colt Cabana was featured on AEW in the broadcast booth for Dark, from what I heard. And then also Marty Scurll debuts it Into the Fire and does an interview with Stu Bennett during NWA Power, which, again, started another season. Great stuff. I love the NWA TV title picture. That's all great and good. Impact Wrestling, I didn't get a chance to watch this week's show, but I got to catch up on a couple episodes, as a matter of fact, because it got hard to kill. They're going to do 2 weeks of best of shows, award shows coming up. But then they come back, and Hard to Kill is going to be the next pay-per-view, and they got to build that bad boy up. And from what I heard, everybody was kind of buzzing about Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan doing a big New York City brawl outside in the city streets, which did look damn good from what I saw. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. They are building big-time storylines for Hard to Kill. Impact Wrestling's doing all the right things as well. MLW giving me good stuff as well. Tom Lawler turning heel. Contra Unit looking badass. We still haven't seen Selena De La Renta come back. Don't know where that's going to be. The Opera Cup is an interesting gimmick. So there's a lot there going on to those shows. More excitement everywhere else. And AEW, let me tell you, I look at the Dark Order gimmick they got. Yeah, there's 3 factions going on. But for AEW, I look at Dark Order and the Nightmare Collective and the Inner Circle. And the fact is, they're just trying to put some stuff together because it's hard enough for them to go and build individual stars, which I think they're doing. I think Jungle Boy is getting pushed pretty well right now. I thought that match with Chris Jericho was actually pretty good tonight. I thought the stuff they did with Dark Order is interesting. I am intrigued by it. I know people are still shitting on it, but I like it. Again, it's just the kind of stuff I'd watch on Nitro. It's totally Nitro when I hear it. When I watch it, I feel like I'm watching Nitro all over again. And I like that. So, and people could go and complain about that, but you know what? I used to watch Nitro, and even when Russo gave us some bad storylines, I still watched it, and I enjoyed it. And AEW I enjoy more than the main roster product. I'm not saying I enjoy it more than NXT. I'm enjoying it more than the main roster product. Dynamite gives me a better show to watch than Raw or SmackDown right now. Period. If I had to pick which shows I enjoy more, I'd probably go with, I don't know. If I had to go and pick, I would say NWA Power's first. Then MLW, Impact Wrestling, AEW Dynamite. I guess NXT would be ahead of AEW, and then Raw, and then SmackDown and Raw. In that order. Actually, Raw, then SmackDown. SmackDown will be last. And that's where I am. So, I mean, they're not helping matters much. A lot of the company just doesn't want to go ahead and make the proper changes to the main roster to get more people to show up and watch the product. Why are they pulling themselves away? Why are they just staying flat? Why have they not decided to really take risks? Because here's the thing. This company could take risks, throw somebody out into the fire, see if they're going to stick. If they don't, then you let them go, or you just throw them, or you just release them. This company is so afraid of not doing that. WWE does not want to go ahead and take the risk of try them. If it doesn't work, you let them go. They're not willing to do that. It's as if every investment, they're going to sit on every investment no matter if it works or not. What good is that for a company if they see, oh, this star didn't work, this star didn't pan out, we need to go and let them go. But they're not willing to do that. They let stars stay around and linger for years. What good does that do? It doesn't serve any purpose. I'm not going to go any more than that. I'm going to leave it right there. Now, I do want to take a minute or two and talk about the year that was 2019 in professional wrestling and look into what happened with the TV and all the things that changed and happened as a result. So let me go into that for a quick minute or two and we'll talk about that. Now, let's go back to July when Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff were brought on as executive directors to manage Raw and SmackDown. It was the plan to right the ship before AEW's buzz got strong. But then we didn't know what was going to happen prior to that. We just know that there was a point where AEW was going to get their TV show. It was going to be on Wednesday nights in October, the same week it was going to debut with SmackDown, debuting that week. And then we started looking at the changes that were going on. Brock cashing in a Money in the Bank contract because he had won the Money in the Bank contract at Extreme Rules would become Universal Champion again. Because of how bad things were with Seth Rollins, he had to go back and win that title. And then the switch over. It's funny where Brock to the rescue twice this year. He had the rescue on Seth Rollins, and then he had the rescue again on Kofi Kingston. And this is the epitome of this company where they had to go back to Brock Lesnar to save them. We can't book the Universal title with anybody else. The most prestigious belt in the company, and they don't know what to do with it. But now the Universal title is, it's over with Bray Wyatt on SmackDown. But the WWE Championship, they don't know what to do to book that belt. They just said, put it on Brock. We'll figure it out something later. But when you cannot find one person on that roster, man or woman, that is able to get themselves over, and look at how things are across the board when you look at the companies out there and what they're doing to build stars. Jacob Fatu gets different opponents all the time as champ. Brian Cage the same way. But now Sami Callihan now, Tessa Blanchard's now going after the title, and it's a legitimate feud. And they're going to go after each other at Hard to Kill. NWA Power, look at what they did. Nick Aldis, such a prestigious champion, he wants to get into the TV title picture to cause prestige to that belt. The TV title being given prestige. And then you look at Ring of Honor. Yeah, you did build PCO for at least a year to get him up to the championship level. And all I'm saying to myself is, you see stars building up and becoming bigger stars as they go along. Tessa Blanchard has had a rise going on this year for Impact Wrestling. And, she's doing it intergender style. She's been fighting the men for most of this year. They stepped her up, and she's a big star now. Dare I say, she's a bigger star. And you say what you want. Tessa Blanchard, in my opinion, she's a bigger star than Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, all of them. And I will say this, I think Shayna Baszler, now Rhea Ripley, they're bigger stars than any women on the main roster. Period. I don't know if Adam Cole matches up to Bray Wyatt on the main roster, but he's a credible champ. That guy would be Ring of Honor champ now if he was on that company, most likely. But that's where they are. But when you're not able to successfully book a challenger for the WWE title, at this moment, Yes, you're going to continue on with things where you're looking at, all right, we have Seth Rollins first in a bad feud to build him up for the championship against The Fiend. Then that went away, and they said, you know what, we got to get him out of there. They threw The Miz at Bray Wyatt, not even after The Fiend, and they just took them out of that. And it looks like maybe Daniel Bryan and The Fiend are going to have a feud at WrestleMania. That's where they're going to go next. Okay, then. But they're not able to build that belt. And that's the biggest failure of all. But they've been doing that for a long time. There's always the one main belt that they have. Which one of them? And Roman Reigns, when are we going to start pushing him? You keep having him lose to King Corbin. And King Corbin, you can keep making him win after win after win. It's not working. I don't think he's any bigger than he was last year as general manager. I don't know what to do with Baron Corbin. But they're not doing the right thing by him either. The King gimmick is stupid. They need to get it off of him. But then they don't have any plans for that afterwards. Like, what are they going to do? I mean, put him back in the waiter uniform again? I don't know what they're going to do with him. But they should have buried the King gimmick a long time ago because it's not working for him. I know he's kind of into it and all, but Baron Corbin you could do better with him. There's potential all over him. I don't like what they've done with him and the way they use him, but I'll tell you, he's a company guy. You could tell that he is taking every little thing. I feel like he's taking what would have been Dean Ambrose's storyline, using dog food. But I'll tell you what, Baron Corbin is a company guy. He is trying to make it work. I give him all the credit in the world for that. I think he's been given a shit gimmick, shit storylines, shit everything. And that guy is resilient. I will give him that. He is tough. And he's able to make it work. He's persevering. So I give him all the credit in the world for that. By July, the ratings, which started taking a big tumble, finally settled in. And things got back to normal. To the new normal baseline of 2.2, 2.4 million viewers on average. And then you had a lot of news going on with WWE and AEW. Going back to July 25th. Because then matches were being announced all over the place to try to one-up each other. First off, you heard about Dynamite in late July being announced for October 2nd. Then All Out was being announced coming up in August. And then you had the Escalada de la Muerta match for the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks. Then we heard NXT possibly being carried live. They thought it was going to be FS1. And that the Wednesday Night Wars we knew were going to happen. And then, of course, when we get to SummerSlam, we have to go and bring out the veterans. Not much more they can do about it. And that was because they needed to get Toronto to get a big crowd. And then we look at the matches they had. Brock Lesnar against Seth Rollins in a rematch. Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton. Becky Lynch, against Natalya. And then you had Shane McMahon, who was still around doing things, the whole quit WWE thing with Kevin Owens at the time. Goldberg having to take on Dolph Ziggler to come out and have a match. Trish Stratus being brought back out to go and have a match. All one-offs. So what did it do for SummerSlam? It kept certain people off from the main roster off one of the big shows of the year. That's what it did. And I'm surprised how some of these superstars will take the fact that they get left out of Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or SummerSlam or one of the Saudi shows because of how things work. It's just the corporate giant and the way they do things. Then I mentioned King of the Ring. When they brought that back, it was the idea to go ahead and make a main eventer. And people were excited about it. So Corbin wins. Has it really helped? Corbin won the Honor of the Giant Battle Royal. He's been a U.S. champion, I guess? Not much else. See, Baron Corbin hasn't won gold. Why are they waiting on that? Because Brock Lesnar's holding the belt. And Brock Lesnar, as long as he has that belt, Baron Corbin will never get close to it. But if you want to really try to get Baron Corbin over, I think it would be time to kind of give him a belt, and he needs to get gold. But they're not going to do that. And they're not going to do it with Bray Wyatt being champion. So it doesn't matter where he is in the pecking order. But yeah, but Baron Corbin's on SmackDown, I get that. But either which way, on either brand he was on, they never gave him a belt for a long time. He never had a belt. And the King is supposed to be like something legitimate, but I don't think it is. And look at the guys that he had after the fact of who really stood out and did anything afterwards. Of the people that competed. Because, yes, people were really happy with the King of the Ring. People really actually enjoyed that. And that was actually one of the few high spots of the year. That tournament was actually really damn good. Even Buddy Murphy getting a rub by Roman Reigns in a match that they had together. Wow. So people were getting a little bit hopeful right there in August, right? And then AEW All Out comes in. They have a great show. They play the show straight. Predictable but solid. And I'll leave it there because, like I said, I'm up to September 5th. Because at this point, my next show, which will be Christmas Day when I record it. By the way, I will be here. I thought I was going to be going to take a vacation that weekend, but I'm not going to. I decided to cancel. So I will be here in South Florida for the duration of the year. And I'll probably take vacation sometime in the spring or fall, or spring or the summer, something like that. We'll figure it out. Either which way, the TV shows, all the debuts, all the programming coming in from September up to the end of the year, we will chronicle all of that coming up in the next Wrestling Gets Real podcast. We'll do all that. In the meantime, I recommend all of you to please go ahead and check out the website, kingofpodcasts.com. Brand new, redesign. It looks great. I really am enjoying the way it looks. The 2020 theme of WordPress is fantastic. I love how they put it all together. It's been so good. And I haven't had that much time to, get to an hour where I've had a little bit of time left to go ahead and talk to you guys and bring up a few things. But you got an easy way to go and watch yourselves. Watch everything that's going on. The menu's nice and easy to read. You see the podcast stuff that's up there. The Spreaker folks have been really great with the players and having the hosting for the programming. It's been really good and solid. By all means, please go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the programming. There's a lot of ways to go and look for the show where you can subscribe to it and catch every episode. I hope you will please recommend everybody to do that. And also remember, please, I also added share buttons in there too. Please go ahead and share the show also to other people out there. I would really love that if you could do it. Please go ahead and make sure to share through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want. And let people know about the program if you listen to it. Because remember, I'm here to be the alternative. To not be the nitpicker like everybody else is about little gossip and storylines, things like that. I, like you, might be on the fence watching all the other people bitching and moaning and complaining about the whole product, right? Which, yeah, people can do that all they want. I could care less. For me, it's all about, I want to enjoy the programming. I want to be able to go and enjoy what's going on. And I continue to want WWE to be better. And I don't know what they're going to do to have to get there, but they have to find their way there. And I'm not enjoying what they're doing right now. It's been tough. But I'm hoping for them. I'm pulling for them to kind of turn things around. And I think what has to happen is something by mistake or by accident has to happen. Maybe something will happen coming up for them with their programming in WrestleMania time. Maybe a few more weeks we'll get back to that. And I say this every year too, but WrestleMania people will start talking about WrestleMania and Royal Rumble time again, and people will start getting up and at it. But the next 2 weeks will be kind of dead, and that's okay. But again, I will come back and close out the year 2019 in professional wrestling. Now that I'm at this point, we'll be right there. By the way, if you want to do your last minute shopping, please go ahead and go to kingofamazon.com. You can still get your stuff, and most things are 2-day shipping, especially if you're an Amazon Prime customer. kingofamazon.com. That is where you go to buy your stuff through Amazon, and then you help out this show. I hope you will consider going to kingofamazon.com and help out. And by the way, if you want to go ahead and write to the show, email me, kingofpodcasts@yahoo.com. Or more importantly, you can also reach me on the Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestlingisreal. I have that right there, and I hope you guys will check that out for yourselves. And follow along. So anyway, we'll come back next week. And until next week, come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. Help support the King of Podcasts. Shop now at KingofAmazon.com.